Hi everyone and welcome to Inderes TV. Today we're going to talk about Nyab with Aapeli Pursimo. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're not quite sure of how to pronounce the name Nyab. Is it Nyab or Nyab? But I think we'll go with...
I think we go with the flow.
I think we go with the flow. That's a good one. An interesting case when you think about the vision, they want to be a pioneer in clean energy solutions. I mean, that sounds interesting, but the glooming outlook for the construction industry doesn't. And you have just written a 40 pages long initiating research report about this. Why read it? And tell me more.
Just shortly, I think Nyab is a quite interesting company with a good growth outlook and has a strong track record of profitable growth from Sweden. Besides that, the company has a joint venture that is focused on renewable energy project development. And as you said, it's quite comprehensive research. So I believe that it will give tools for readers to make their own assessments of the company. And maybe I wouldn't encourage people to make reading decisions solely based on the current recommendation.
Yeah, well, that's a good one in a nutshell. So, but how would you describe the company in a nutshell?
If we look at the company, the Nyab's current business are focused on the less cyclical and counter-cyclical construction sectors, which are infrastructure, industrial, and energy construction. And if we look at the different businesses, infrastructure is the largest, and it accounts for about 55% of the group's revenue. And in their company builds, for example, road, railway, and bridge construction projects. Mm-hmm. And it also maintains state and municipal infrastructure through multi-annual contracts.
But where does the clean energy come in?
Wait for a second.
Okay.
Then there's industrial construction, which accounts for around 25% of the revenue. And in this business, the company builds industrial buildings, for example, manufacturing and logistics companies. And then there is the smallest but the fastest growing sector, which is energy, which currently focuses especially on balance of plant construction of wind farms in Finland. But if you look at the nature and the clean future, mm-hmm. Those projects enables the green transition due to there is so many investments coming to the Nordic countries, mm-hmm. and especially in the northern Sweden and Finland, when there is so many green projects as wind farms, solar farms. Then there is like the mining industry is going to get cleaner. The steel manufacturing companies are getting the new buildings, new factories, and there is just so much more than just like you produce green energy or so, but you have to also build the infrastructure for that, and they are doing that.
So they are building the infrastructure around the green energy possibilities.
Yes, and also for the different kind of green transitions, what it needs, like of course the roads for example for the wind farms and so on.
And who are the real customers? Are it private or bigger institutions or the states or?
Yeah, if you look at the customer base, it consists both public and private sectors. And according to companies' own data, about 70% of the revenue came from the public sector. Mm-hmm. And according to our understanding, the largest single customer is Trafikverket, which is the Swedish transport agency, by a quite clear margin. And then we estimate the private side customers to consist of like large industrial players.
Okay, and the customer base is in Finland and in Sweden.
Yes.
but emphasizes on Sweden.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you look at the company, this kind of, if I've understood it correctly, they are kind of profitable in Sweden, and that's more than 70%. And then we have the problem child in Finland, which consists of
about 25 to 30%.
Yeah. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, maybe you put it a little bit too straightforward.
Okay. Yeah.
Because looking at the profitability, the Swedish side, the old Nyab, has been the industry leading company in what comes to profitability.
Okay. Yeah.
But then there is the Finnish side, which has a long history. Kind of, there is, maybe we get to this, but there is, I don't see that there is a potential to get these numbers that they had put in Sweden.
Okay.
And
the background to that is, why is it so profitable in Sweden, but why it isn't possible to do in Finland? Or?
One factor is that there is some structural differences between in the contract terms between the countries. And in Sweden, the project owner has more responsibility in the project contract terms, which allow for more additional invoicing in the event of cost overruns, what of course helps profitability if you can get the additional invoicing to cost.
To a bigger project, and there you can kind of scale within the project, or
not like maybe if you have some cost overruns, you can cover those by from the project owner. In some cases, not always, but there is a more flexibility in the contract terms, and it's good to notice that the projects in Sweden are quite small, typically around 1 to 2 million.
Okay.
So there is not that much of project risk, anyways. So, but you have to have many contracts to keep going. But in Finland, the projects are typically 4 to 5 million, according to our understanding. But with the current structure of the businesses, it's pretty hard also to get to those same levels because the infrastructure is so big in Sweden, and those what already mentioned those contract terms. So there is some differences, but you could also get very good levels in Finland. For our estimation, that there is a very good level of EBITDA in Finland would be like 6 to 8%, and in Sweden that could be even 11 to 12% with the current structure of the businesses. But of course, to reach those levels, the strongest growth had to be over.
So, what about the drivers in the sector? I mean, this is a reduced recommendation and a long research behind it. Clearly, the drivers to me are the green transition and the urbanization. But I mean, when you look at the construction industry at the moment, not so much. How do you see this combination?
Yeah, it's good to understand that there is different pockets in the side of all of the construction industry, and when we look at these specific industries that the Nyab is focused on, they are less cyclical and they have like counter-cyclical elements as what comes to, for example, infrastructure, what is more or less the public.
Yeah, because those are not following the normal cycles. Yeah, that's
exactly.
True. And a big percentage was, at least in Sweden.
Yeah, exactly.
With the Trafikverket as the biggest customer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there is a huge need for the green energy, which drives the energy sector, energy infrastructure, and then there is also the industrial. You have to build those new factories and such. Of course, there will be some fluctuations. I don't know if you can get away from those, but it's completely different than in the residential construction.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. So what would you say, in which direction should the company need to evolve in order to get to be an interesting case for investors?
I think, as it stands, Nyab is already quite an interesting investment case due to it has a good market potential. It's growing, has a good track record of profitable growth. Of course, Nyab could expand to the new geographical markets, what would expand the company's target market, or accelerate growth through M&A. But company's organic growth has been so high, and with historical profitability, company creates value by continuing its existing strategy. So I think it's a interesting case. I think we are going to the valuation in some point. So
but they also have a good financial position. Well, could something be interesting there?
Yeah, of course. Maybe one point to the last part is that also they have the joint venture, the Skarta Energy, which has a lot of potential, but due to its ramp-up phase, there is still a lot of uncertainty about the potential. But yeah, when we come to the M&A, the company, as you said, has a strong balance sheet, almost net debt free, and the acquisitions are part of the company's strategy. So I would say it's more than likely that Nyab will be quite active player in the M&A field. If we look at it, could be like 1 to 2 acquisitions per year, in like that ballpark. But if you look at the deal sizes, what we have understand, the sizes could vary a lot. So cannot put any real examples what they could be.
Could be looking at, but might be an interesting option there.
Yeah.
So now let's go dig into the valuation part and your recommendation.
Yeah, in the report there are 7 pages about valuations where you can
dig in.
where you can find more detailed version. But as the report was published last week, so we maybe have to speak a little bit in past tense. But overall, we believe that the stock was relatively correctly priced, given the good growth outlook and the longer-term potential of Skarta Energy. But it's worth noting, as I said already, that there is a lot of uncertainty about the Skarta Energy's potential. But if we look at the current Nyab and the valuation multiples, the Nyab stock was priced justifiably well over its peers, but given its good growth outlook and strong track record. But furthermore, if we compare those to the what we believe what are the acceptable multiples for the company, the valuation was quite neutral with our next few years estimates, and thus we think the share price had already priced in much of the expected profitable growth. And it's good to keep in mind that, at least in our opinion, there would be a clear downside in the valuation multiples if the growth or profitability expectation were to fail on a larger scale. Thus, we believe that the risk-adjusted expected return was inadequate for the next 12 months, and thus to reduce recommendation.
So, reduced recommendation, but an interesting report and a lot of potential still.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering all these questions.
Thank you.
And we'll put the link to the research report down below. Bye.